The theatre and drama in the Caribbean have been built, and I expect will continue to be built, on our pre-theatre heritage. The religions and religious institutions of Europe gave birth to the drama and theatre of Europe, which then found its way to the West Indies via the various colonial agents. Dow Village here in Trinidad has performed the drama of the Ramlila for every year for the last, 100 years at least. Combined performances like this one out of the Hindu religion and rituals from other religious systems, Orisha, Islam, Christianity, make up in part the pre-theatre heritage of the majority of Caribbean people. What have evolved from these rituals are the carnivals of Trinidad, Martinique, Dominica, St. Lucia and other islands, the John Canoe of Jamaica and Bahamas, the Barbados crop over and landship. These have been used not only as atmosphere for short dramatic stories or folkloric dances, but also for drama and theatre, which ask the questions of what is, what can be, how do you feel about what is, and much more importantly, what can you do about it? Many pioneers of drama and dance in the Caribbean have written extensively and passionately about the importance of these festivals, rituals, and community performances in the embodiment of national theatres. Some playwrights are now using community performances like the landship, myths and rituals like the Ramlila, to create something different, a unique Caribbean theatre.
A civilized country. You ban the beating of African drums. You ban stick fighting. You ban bongo dancing. What you afraid of? What you trying to do? Satisfy your conscience by taking away our culture so you could say we have none?
I think it's the struggle of the Baptists symbolizes the Caribbean struggle, the struggle of the African in the Caribbean, and more so of the Caribbean, because insofar as the Africans in the Caribbean were the people to engage colonialism and so on and create in the process, they have done so not only for themselves, in fact the play says this, but on behalf of all the people in the Caribbean.
It shall be an offense against this ordinance for any person to hold or take part in or to attend any shouters' meeting to be held in any part of the colony, indoors or in the open air at any time of the day or night.
The process in trying to move this play onto a stage has been about working closely and research on the spiritual Baptist. Mr. Mervyn Williams has made a lot of his research available to us. We ourselves have gone out, as a director, I myself have been spending a lot of time visiting with congregations, getting a sense of the thing, and really extracting elements and feeding them through to actors.
Kuvad is based on the Amerindian myth of the sleeper of the tribe. The play is about a father-to-be who confines himself to his hammock in sympathetic labor, and through dreams and strict observation of the discipline of the ritual, he ensures the health and happiness of the child. The main character is Lionel, an artist, a modern-day sleeper of the tribe, calling up African, Indian, and Amerindian ancestors for support and guidance. He's attendant on the birth of a new Caribbean civilization.
I think that Kuvad, coming as it did, out of my own sense of a variety of origins, I do have even some Amerindian in me, plus about 5 other cultural and ethnic elements, that Kuvad was an attempt to make some kind of sense out of all that. The character of Lionel is supposed to be an artist trying to do this in his own painting, as the playwright is trying to do in the play, and as I think the whole Caribbean is trying to do as a community.
I, Marcus Garvey is happening within the context almost of like a Nyabingi, where the drum, the heartbeat rhythm that later becomes the train rhythm, that is that constant movement that Garvey, the constant movement and gathering of people that Garvey was very central to. And it's happening in the play. And White is able to work with what I will call images of the diaspora as opposed to images of a specific island. And that, for me, enriches his work in a lot of ways. And there's also a strong filmic style to Edgar White's work that at the same time draws on a kind of worldview that you can call it filmic on one level, and at the same time very Caribbean, in that it does not at all accept a linear progression, but a cyclical movement in terms of what happens in the regions of the mind, you know? And a lot of his work is located there.
He showed me what the power of print could be. It made clear what was happening all over Africa. I could see the pattern of rape and plunder. Before that, I thought only of what happened in the Caribbean. But now, I saw with new eyes.
When the Chinaman leaves China, no matter where in the world he goes, he always works and thinks like a Chinaman. When the Indian leaves India, he's always of India. But what of the black man? Where is his allegiance? He alone is content to consider himself a West Indian, a black Englishman, a black American, but never an African.
Derek Walcott, St. Lucian poet and playwright, uses the Caribbean folk myth of the young boy Tijan as a source of his play Tijan and His Brothers. In the play, Walcott celebrates Tijan's mischievous innocence and plain common sense in dealing with the struggles of living.
You see that fire over there, sir? That's the old man's house. I put it on fire.
Fire? I don't get you, boy. Fire? You burned my house?
Your house, sir?
Yes, boy. My house. Now, that's disobedience. That's rank anarchy, isn't it? Now, you stay where you are, boy.
I didn't know it was your house.
Well, that's even worse, isn't it?
You're not getting vexed, are you?
Oh, I feel like crying.
Cry no, man. It might do you good.
Oh, I can't cry, and you know that, too.
My mother said, if a man can't cry...
What in hell you think I care about your mother, boy? That poor, withered fool who thinks it's holy to be poor, who scraped her knees to the knuckle, whining to an old beard that's been deaf since time began. Or your two brothers, for that matter, the man of strength and that other rhetorician. The game is over. You have not played fair.
Walcott led the Trinidad Theatre Workshop for 20 years. Working with this closely knit company, he attempted to create a uniquely Caribbean drama and theatre.
The workshop got to a pitch where it was a unique ensemble. I think what happened was that when it got to its best, it was simply that it was the West Indian actor, you know, in a totally confident position,
feeling both, you know, that there wasn't anything artificial in his performance, but also articulating it as professionally as he could.
So you can sit down as usual and watch me work. But until we have finished this whole business of Robinson Crusoe being in a boat, looking at an imaginary seabird, being shipwrecked, killing a goat, making this parasol and this hat, walking up the beach, finding a naked footprint, which should take me into about another 10 or 12 minutes at the most, I will pack my things and I will leave. And you can play Robinson Crusoe all by yourself.
The Little Carib Theatre in Port of Spain, Trinidad, first opened its doors in 1948 as home of the Little Carib Dance Company, led by the now legendary Beryl McBurney. It was a most important step in the promotion of indigenous music, dance, and drama in the Caribbean. And one of the people most influenced by Beryl's pioneering spirit and achievements was founder and artistic director of the Jamaican National Dance Theatre, Rex Nettleford.
Dance companies, the tendency is to tell a story by way of narrative, to in fact even send a message, to make social comment, to invest symbols, movement symbols with an eloquence that can communicate immediately. So it is very theatrical, and it is self-consciously so. And even when it draws on the traditional work out of the festivals, out of the rituals, they too are saying something. A man who is possessed in Shango or in Pocomania or in Santeria is possessed by a god and becomes the god, or in voodoo, and is saying something. So the theater of it is always there, because the thing of communicating and the eloquence of the thing is critical. So it is dance theater. So there is that link between drama and dance. And many of the dramatic offerings will utilize movement and music. What some people call total theater. Derek Walcott sought through his Trinidad theater workshop, sought to achieve Tijon, and even in the straight works, Dream on Monkey Mountain and so on. Trevor Rohn, at the other end of the region in Jamaica, and all forms of theater will attempt a kind of integration of all these elements without necessarily turning out to be an American musical or a European opera, but something which is Caribbean.
What's left of the Antiguan University Center's theater after Hurricane Hugo wiped it up in 1989, its roof, its walls, and took it away. I expect there are plans afoot to put it back together. Hopefully, it'll be in a much better condition than it ever was before. You know, there are small theaters like this have evolved over the region. Workspaces where playwrights can examine our Caribbean identities. Playwrights like David Edgecombe in Montserrat, Alvin Bully in Dominica, Francis Farrier in Guyana, Godfrey Seeley in Trinidad, Alvin Hippolyte in St. Lucia, Trevor Rohn in Jamaica. Now, Rohn's plays have used laughter very successfully as therapy. In fact, some of Rohn's earlier works done in that delightful Barn Theatre in Kingston turned out to be the longest running plays in the Caribbean.
I live in Jamaica, I work here, I write about the Jamaican experience primarily. I've discovered that most of the works, in fact, do reflect the universal experience in many regards. But that has been a discovery. I didn't set out to do that. But I primarily write for the people within the community that I live, which is Jamaica.
14 village tonight, none to help the others.
What happened, Jim?
Bro, I give my heart to this country. I love the place. I'm a good citizen. I pay my taxes. I don't have any choice. I pay my housing trust. I don't have any benefits to give. I give me sweat, me tears, I give me love. I have to send away my children. What more do you want? My blood.
What happened to him?
Reverend, him is happy now. Him is out of this misery. What would, Pops? What would?
My central thing, really, I guess, is the family. I am very perturbed and concerned by the absence of the cohesive force that would link, say, a black family. I'm concerned about the universal family as well, but primarily about the black family, because quite often we tend to be negative towards each other, and it's trying to find the source of that, and really trying to help change that, and hopefully to replace it all with more positive images of oneself and one's immediate family, which happens to be black.
I have here Guyana telephone directory. Yes. In the directory, yes, instructions for using the automatic telephone, right here. Instructions for using automatic telephone. Instruction number 1, before making a call, consult your telephone directory for the telephone number of the person you wish to call. You ever tried consulting this? Half the number's not there, and the other half wrong. It's a waste of time.
A few companies like Rowan's have found financial viability. For example, Freddie Kissoon's Strolling Players of Trinidad and Tobago, and the Theatre Company of Ghana run by Jem Madu and Ron Robinson.
So all I did was to entice the people to come here with some of the plays that they wanted to see, did them well, did them very professionally as best as we could, and then we started to do the nicer plays and the good plays of the Caribbean, like the Trevorrones and the Walcotts and the Scotts and so on, you know? So we got them here, and that's how we kept going for 8 years and 50 productions.
Morning, Olga.
Morning, Mabel. Go home to your face. Somebody rounds you up already?
Why are you so hypocrite? You pretending that you know that Tina and me had a showdown this morning.
No, Mabel. Me and my husband Ralph had an argument. I feel that's why I'm here, thing.
You know that Tina is a real jammet woman.
Look now, Mabel, I want to meddle in all your business at all.
But Olga, all I tell is that Tina's a jammet. I wouldn't say she's a jammet if I didn't know she was a jammet.
The sort of stuff that I write, it has direct, immediate appeal to what I would say the ordinary man in the street. And secondly, our slogan, as it were, is to take drama to the people at a price to suit their pockets. So I always go rock bottom. For instance, at this present moment, when most groups charge $20 to see a production, Strolling Players, we still remain at 10 because our main purpose is to get people to come out to the theater.
Well, Mother Pepper, if it's addressed to you, come take it. We want to know the theater, yes, we want to know. Just say we stand where they got us stop. No good for we, you take the coffee show. We want to know right now what to know. It's plain for us to see that you sing it well. Oh, no, you want to give it up. I want to drive way out of your shop.
This is one of the oldest forms of Jamaican theatre. It could well be the old one, the longest running institution in theatre. And so for the past 47 years, I've grown up as a child in Jamaica on this. Every year on December 26th at precisely 6 o'clock, a new show is unveiled. And it's produced by a company called the Little Theatre Movement. which puts a lot of resources. A lot of people are trained to go in it. I came on this when I was working as a journalist. I used to be a print journalist with the Gleaner Company and covered theatre. And somebody said to me, why don't you write one of these shows? And the first one I did, don't ask me the year, because I'm 27 and I'm not getting any older, so I don't know the year, was the year that, well, this will date me, that Americans landed a man on the moon. So I decided that, no, Jamaicans are going to land a man there before the Americans. So I landed a moon party, and my feminist wickedness started, because when they got there, our lead leader declared, one step for a man, but no big thing for a woman. Eh? So we did a whole big rocket ship on the stage and blasted off.
Not only have stars like Louise Bennett and Oliver Samuels come out of this annual theatre event, but many of the playwrights, directors, producers and backstage workers in Jamaica also began their illustrious careers in the annual Christmas pantomime.
Well, you know what they say. We are more than a beach. We are a country.
No.
Wednesday morning, you put big stone. Wednesday morning, you put big stone. Wednesday morning, you put big stone.
Wednesday morning. A number of groups use theatre for social action, often called popular theatre. This is theatre used to help communities articulate and analyze problems which affect their lives and to take action on these problems. One such group is the New Artist Movement in St. Vincent.
We know what we're going to do. If me have a fight for the land, then me fighting for it. Nobody getting it.
Yeah. Well, in Orangeville at this point in time, there is this land issue where people need land for house spots. And if you look at the village, you notice that there isn't much space and people cannot build because the land is, at this point in time, owned by government, or Rabaka Farms Limited. And they have taken some action to reclaim some land. And there's a little problem. I think they have a problem in terms of ensuring that they keep the land which they've laid claim to.
Man, Larry drop of a petition and go to the man and tell him that we mean business we want.
Let me ask you something.
Go to the board now.
Exactly.
Where we land.
Exactly. That is your wife talking.
Exactly. We go
right out of your house she come.
My decision is that we go and we put stake somewhere and we take land.
Are you ready?
Right now, let me...
Are you ready?
What you thought of the play?
It was nice, it was lovely, yes.
What did you like about it?
I liked the last part of the land reform thing. I do like it.
Was it true to your situation?
It was a real true thing, facing the problem.
So where are you all now? Are you all ready now to sit down and get legal papers drawn up or what?
Well, we ain't waiting for no paper. We're going right ahead, right ahead.
There is a strong network of popular theatre groups operating under the umbrella of the ECPTO. That's the Eastern Caribbean Popular Theatre Organization, which promotes the sharing of skills and techniques. A pioneer of popular theatre is the Sistren Theatre Collective of Jamaica. Formed in 1977, it creates and performs plays based on their experiences as working-class women.
She supervises a small gang. It is not as much hard work as the men.
Why?
Most of the supervisors use a mule. When them have me walking up and down in the hot sun all day long?
Would that mean more work for Messiah?
She don't even have to keep a book. I just keep a book.
What you say? Of course the woman keep a book. And she's doing the work.
Using drama to examine issues which directly affect their lives, workshops were later introduced to work with groups on a more one-to-one basis. These workshops emphasize the drama process for education rather than the production of a play. The collective has diversified its activities to include the design and marketing of textiles and also historical and social research. The Sistren Theatre Collective has performed and conducted workshops throughout the region and remains an inspiration not only to theatre companies but also to the women of the Caribbean.
Wow. Eh? I'm hungry, see? And I'm to the pot of both on the fire. So what? I'm just lift up. What?
There are theater companies of various standards, sizes, and quality all over the Caribbean. There's the Jamaica School of Drama, with students from other islands. Theater courses are taught at University of the West Indies, creative arts centers in both Trinidad and Jamaica. As someone once said of the Little Caribbean in the early 1940s, it teaches our people that their hands can create a temple and nothing can hide its nobility. The same can be said of the work of a great many of the theater artists in the Caribbean.